Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Sunday Wire. I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. We're streaming out live on X, also YouTube, Rumble, and our other live streams on BitChute, as well as Facebook Live. And yeah, I got some teething problems with some of the streams, but we're working on it. So slowly but surely developing our live stream portfolio there. Great to have you back with us. And as we mentioned, theme of today's show is Trump and Israel's war on Yemen. So there it is. Donald's cracked his first champagne bottle over the bow of the poorest country in the world, which is Yemen. So congratulations. A great achievement militarily, of course, and really sticking it to those Yemenis. Because after all, they're just nothing but terrorists, or at least that's what they're telling us. So kind of disturbing in the sense that we know where this is headed, ladies and gentlemen, know exactly where this is all headed, and this is headed to Tehran. They're prepping for the war that certainly Israel is demanding, the one that will save Netanyahu, apparently. It'll save his career, save his legacy, somehow vindicate him from the jaws of just complete depravity where he's found himself after what he's done in Gaza. Wented by the International Criminal Court currently, and Israel is also in the dock at the World Courts of Justice for genocide against the Palestinians. But that none of that matters in Washington, certainly not in Israel. None of that matters, and they're just going to kind of carry on with how things are going. Bring some of our team up onto stage here. We've got Adam Clark, aka Ruckus. Ruckus, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Patrick?
I'm good. How's the Ruckus vision going this week?
It's been a challenge, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm working on it. I'm working on a huge 3-parter as we speak. So I'm anticipating it'll be out sooner than later. And boy howdy, I can't wait, because I need to switch my computers. My old computer keeps crashing on me every time I do something. It's crazy.
And just for our viewers, our readers, and listeners at 21stcenturywire.com, there's a great Sunday screening up. It's called The Real Impact of the Silk Road. It's 2.5 hours. It's actually a very interesting documentary looking at the history of the Silk Road and where it's at now with the Belt and Road, and how the Silk Road will be extended into outer space. This is very fascinating. So I encourage people go. That's our Sunday screening. We do that most every week. We'll have a curated documentary film, which our team curates and posts each week at the Sunday screening. So the real impact of the Silk Road, 2.5 hours long. So if you have some time to watch this, it is absolutely fascinating. Highly recommend it. As is the rest of our archive of documentary films at the Sunday screen. You can check that out. There's a link at the bottom of each of these films. It'll take you to the archive so you can watch some of the other documentaries. We also have a 24/7 documentary stream at 21wire.tv for our members and subscribers. We'll be upgrading that too. We're in the process of working on all those things, in addition to launching new programs like the Midweek Wire, which just came online in, I believe, the end of January, and we're already approaching our 10th episode for that. We'll be at number 10 pretty soon, so we're very excited about that. Had a great discussion with Freddie Ponton on the stream. We went live on Wednesday with that. Let me bring Bryan McClain also up onto the stage. Bryan McClain, also known as Hesher, welcome to the program, sir.
Hello, good to see you guys. Happy Sunday. How's it going?
Pretty well. We were just talking to Ruckus about the technical teething issues of Ruckus Vision, having to work with old analog equipment like in the background there and somehow make it look cutting edge. This is an absolute, I don't know, you have to be somewhat of an alchemist, I think, or a technological alchemist to make all this work. But a lot of it's just an illusion, but we won't talk about that. But we are in the Maya and the illusions of, there we go.
Behind the scenes, it's much more chaos, like this kind of thing going on, you know.
That reminds me, that's like the Nebuchadnezzar in the Matrix. Looks like the bridge of the EMP machines in the Matrix. Guys, I don't know about you, but I wasn't too happy to wake up to the news on Saturday or to see the news in the evening that the U.S. had just started a new war in Yemen. So under the Trump administration, I mean, I can't see where this is going to be heading anywhere positive. I don't know about you guys, but to me, what was equally as disturbing as watching Yemenis getting killed on social media was watching MAGA doing victory laps. Like this is some major accomplishment somehow. And it just brings me back to like, did the neocons ever die, or did they just pass their genes on to this latest gaggle of America firsters and podcasters? I can't work it out. Help me, guys. Help me.
Seems to be the latter. Seems the genetic DNA, media DNA, geopolitical DNA, racism against Muslim DNA. Yeah, that seems to have spread in an odd and sort of slow way to this younger MAGA crowd. I mean, it's pretty creepy. It's pretty creepy. Like
we're teaching them a lesson.
Yeah.
Don't F with USA, man.
Right.
It's the poorest country in the world. They're trying to stop the Israeli are blockading Gaza now after genociding him. They're cutting off food and water. And Yemeni said, "Don't do it, and we're going to attack Israeli targets until you stop." And the U.S. did a preemptive strike along with the U.K. and Israel. 3 countries hit Yemen this weekend as a preemptive strike. So rather than just allow water and food into Gaza and just everything's cool at that point, no, we have to start another war.
Preempting what? May I ask? Preempting what exactly?
Inconvenience of Israel and of shipping, so to speak.
I will happily admit that in 13, 14, probably 2012, 2013, I can't remember. I didn't really know Yemen. I didn't really know where Yemen was or anything like that. And I learned about it watching Sunday Wire, listening to Sunday Wire at that time. And also from a number of different media sources. RT did some good coverage on it. A bunch of independent people did some good coverage on it. And what I learned after I learned where it was on the map and kind of who lived there and a little bit about it, and that it was in Call of Duty as a war zone in Black Ops, I learned that there were millions of people there who had been starved to death because of the sanctions that you mentioned earlier, the Obama era sanctions on that location. And it was much harder to get video of these sort of things back then, but I did come across it. And what I discovered was that the people in Yemen were being starved out, straight up, just being starved by the millions of children. And this is what, 9-10 years ago? So, I get it if you're one of those people that didn't know where it was on the map. I've been there myself, but after, I found out, that was one of the things that got me, very interested in geopolitics in the Middle East, was knowing that, oh my gosh, here it is. We're in the 21st century and our country is behind starving one of the poorest nations on the planet. What's up with that, guys? I mean, it's so when I saw that this popped off the other morning, it was just, like when October 7 happened and everything in the aftermath, I spent months watching everything I could on it. This time, I mean, aside from what I've seen on your and a few other people's X accounts, I'm not digging in to look at the horror of this because I've already seen it before. It's disgusting. We just went through more of it than I could handle with Gaza, and we're just going to graft this on to Yemen with the 3 pejoratives that you described earlier, right? Iranian-backed Houthi terrorism, quote unquote, quote unquote, quote unquote. And that's all it's going to take for the modern hardcore MAGA influencers to get behind another genocide. This one, some people may not know this, but this has been an ongoing genocide that our tax dollars have been helping for.
Yeah. I mean, we'll bring some video. Bring some video up on there so people can see. But this scene from Sana'a, this is kind of like.
Lost you there, man.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, guys. We had a little.
There we go.
Technical hitch there with the share screen feature. Sorry about that.
It was probably Iran, some Iran-backed rebel group somewhere in the Middle East, Patrick.
Yeah. So point taken, Hesher. As Hesher was saying before before we glitched out there for a moment. Yeah, it's quite an extraordinary story. I mean, I could bring a map up on screen, but without doing that, just to understand the strategic importance of Yemen right there with the Gulf of Aden, the Horn of Africa, the Bab el-Mandeb Straits, the Red Sea, the Suez Canal, etc. All of these things are key strategic junctures for global trade and maritime trade. And they're just beside themselves that this country that they thought that they had done, they probably thought they were going to do them in by 2016. When Obama launched the war in Yemen, it was March 2015, right on the back of Charlie Hebdo. And they launched this war in Yemen. They probably thought we are going to finish these guys off within 12 months. 10 years later, they're just on the cusp of getting hypersonic missiles. And they're hitting targets in Israel. They've shut down the port of Eilat. So it becomes such a thorn in the side of Israel in a way that no other Arab country could manage. They're the only Arab country. Iran's not an Arab country, so Iran fired missiles to try to restrain Israel. Yemen has actually been dogged in their sort of dedication to the Palestinian cause, ending suffering. It's a religious national mission for them. Okay, it's nothing to do with Iran. Nothing. Iran supports Yemen, of course, gives them technology, but the Yemenis are building their own rockets. They're building their own anti-aircraft facilities. They're building their own surface-to-ship missiles. Okay, so I mean, so you can't blame the Iranians that other people in the region are pissed off at what Israel's doing, and they're willing to fight and do something about it. That's not Iran's fault. But how this is being framed by the U.S. is they're trying to funnel this into an outcome. And then if Yemen retaliates against these U.S. and Israeli strikes, then they're going to blame Iran, and then they're going to use that as a pretext to hit Iran. This is kind of like where it's going. It's kind of obvious at this point. So I don't know if you guys have any other.
It's a rehashed playbook. When I saw the numbers come in from this strike, Hesher, you mentioned it's the 21st century, right, or whatever. Where did all the money go for all those smart weapons and all the bombs and stuff that we drop? How come we have to they said in the news that they were striking military sites, yet the results are 24 to 31 civilians killed. How many militants were killed? Wait a minute, hold on. Like I saw some reports said that a total of 31 people were killed. 24 of them are civilians, at least. So that means they got 7 of the bad guys. Way to go. Where have we seen this type of strategy before? Maybe the other side is using the same strategy as the other one. Maybe they're just using humans as shields. I don't know. It's ridiculous to me. So there's no precision here, no forethought. All they're doing is just collateral damage, which is going to radicalize more problems in the future. We understand how this works. And I think this is just a giant setup to put the narrative in people's minds. We'll probably see a couple false flag things happen, maybe even right here on the home soil. They'll say, look who did it. And it'll start with the letter H. I don't know which one yet. I think the Houthis is probably a better sell for people than Hamas, because come on, what the heck does Hamas care about America? Seriously.
So it's like anybody that stands in the way of Israel or that attacks ISIS is labeled a terrorist, basically. That's the rule. I can't think of a better objective definition for terrorism, because it's like each country is going to come up with their own political reason to designate somebody a terrorist. Okay. Now it's the British designated the IRA as a terrorist organization, while rich Irish people in the US were funneling money and weapons to them, okay, and totally supported the IRA. US political senators, congressmen, even presidents supported Irish independence, okay? So, and they're no longer a terrorist organization. Nelson Mandela and the ANC were on the terrorist list. The US regarded them as a terrorist. And then all of a sudden, he is the mascot for freedom and anti-apartheid and human rights, just like that. It's a political designation. It is a designation of convenience. I'll put a comment here on the bottom. Joseph F. USA. These MAGA influencers were criticizing Biden for the same thing. He's talking about hitting Yemen. Do you see all this? The MAGA anti-war thing. You can see how shallow and thin it is. When it comes to the crunch, they will back the war. And this is like, it sounds good during the campaign for these people, but they are really not committed to any of these principles here. If I find any more intelligent comments from our listenership.
And I'll add real quick that
Go ahead, Ruckus.
A lot of the MAGA crowd actually were victims of being labeled as domestic terrorists for their political beliefs not that long ago. It's like short memory span, I guess. They turned into goldfishes overnight or something.
And they still are. Let's face it. Until the three-letter agencies are completely reined in, the deep state is reined in, the political Zionism is reined in, all these things that probably are very difficult to rein in, some would argue will never be reined in. Until all that were to happen, I'm sorry, you're still on those lists. There are still pieces of those machineries that call all of us anti-war people and people that aren't just complete partisans to one side or the other, and you complete partisans on the MAGA side, terrorists. They have you on lists. They have us on lists, okay? These lists have been around for years. They haven't gone away. Yes, there are some political, very public political strides being made right now to ramp down weaponization, quote unquote, if you will. But don't kid yourselves. I mean, look at what just happened here with the student, the anti-war protesting student. This is, it's just crazy that, it's old, like post 9/11 mindset to just allow a government to label someone the T word and then say, cool, go for it. Get them. I mean, who have they gotten? Tell me, name one group that they've labeled a terrorist and then gone out and made disappear. Are any of them gone? Is a single one gone? I mean, a lot of countries are gone. A lot of civilians are gone. A lot of money is gone. A lot of bombs have gone out the door of our country and been dropped in other countries that do absolutely nothing for us except put us in a worse geopolitical position. I mean, what you're going to wipe out who? Name, I've seen them wipe out the Palestinians, and I fear what this is about, quite frankly, is enabling another one of these. This was basically October 7 without an October 7. This is like riding on the gas of October 7, riding on the grift, the gaslight, and the bigoted nature of the response to October 7. Never mind the source of it, the funding of it, and all that.
So here's a comment on the bottom from Putin's shirt. That definitely wins the award for best PFP today. Of course, they are controlled by Ansar Allah. He's talking about Yemen. Ansar Allah is a political party running the country, just like Hamas is the political party running Gaza, just like Hezbollah is the most dominant political party in Lebanon. So by labeling political parties and movements that are actually governing as terrorist organizations, you then give yourself the right to bomb them, to attack them, and to kill anybody that gets in your way, including women and children. This is just getting out of control. And now they're doing it with the so-called, they're calling it the Houthis, okay? And so this is a game that is getting out of control. And we'll go some other heady comments here. Thank you for that, Putin's shirt. And here we go. I like this. Presumably, this is supposedly to be a distraction from the lost war against the Russians. Not bad. Not a bad comment. Agree or disagree, Ruckus?
I don't know about that one. I have to think about that for a minute. I think I disagree. I think this is perpetuating the forever war because, yeah, I was like, when Trump came in and said, oh, he's going to end wars, I'm like, well, I can think of a big group of people who aren't going to let that happen, the military industrial complex and all that. So, yeah, here we are.
Hesher, what do you think? Distraction.
Presumably, yeah, for many people, I would say that is how it's going to graft onto their worldview. But we don't really know what's going to happen with Russia at this point either. I mean, that could still go sideways, wrong, and always, 12 ways from Sunday wire. There's so many opportunities for that situation to escalate and get a lot worse. There's opportunities, of course, for Taiwan to turn into something worse. Don't kid ourselves and think that this ceasefire in Gaza is something that still can't turn around and get worse. It's just like, it's a good distraction maybe for the sort of dense crowd, people that aren't, people that are geopolitically illiterate, maybe, perhaps. And I guess that's a pretty high population since people's attention spans are like 30 seconds now. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Working theory, Hesher, on that. Here's my working theory. During the campaign, the party that's in opposition develops a higher IQ during that phase. They develop a higher IQ. They exhibit better language and better thought processes. But if that opposition party gets into power, their IQ plummets very, very quickly. And really, it's a race to the bottom at that point because it's all about groupthink and protecting the leader, basically. Because we're in power, now we have to protect the leader. The leader in this case is Donald Trump. The Democrats did the same with Joe Biden. You saw that ring of steel they put around Biden, that impenetrable ring of steel of criticism. You couldn't even criticize him if he was like falling over, drooling out of the side of his mouth, slurring his speech, or falling asleep at world meetings. You weren't allowed to. If you criticize that, you're ageist. Oh, you're making fun of him because he's old, he's falling asleep, and he's senile. How dare you? How dare you make fun of John Fetterman, who's like literally mentally disabled because he had a stroke, okay? Is that the guy you want in as senator running the country? No, most people would say no, but no, they protected the leader, and then it gets dumber as they get into power. So that's my working theory on this. This one, you guys, though, I want to get your opinion on this. This is from Ghost Machine. It's one of our best commenters, actually. They're trying to speed run to Christ's return. Fafo. Ruckus, what do you think?
It's not going to work because, Christian Zionism is a completely made up thing. There's a lot of research to suggest that. I've been doing a lot of looking into this. So I don't know if you think about it, what it means fundamentally as a Christian, and then you look at what it means fundamentally with other religions, and you're like, how do any of these pieces interconnect with each other? They don't. But yeah, when this whole concept of the Christian Zionism thing is it's based off of Scofield. The Scofield Bible is probably the biggest perpetrator of this, and it's been picked up and progressing along the past few decades or longer now for a while. It's led to this ever since the creation of the State of Israel. So obviously, this idea that they think that a false prophecy that may, in my opinion, has already been fulfilled. A lot of these things that they say are going to happen in the future were actually things that already happened a long time ago in the past, if you can believe that or not. So I don't think that their plan is going to work. So the Christians are probably going to be severely disappointed if they honestly think that by assisting this genocide, by doing all these things, that they're going to usher in the Antichrist. So they're not just trying to usher in Christ's return. In order for that to happen, what they're trying to do is get the temple rebuilt, have the Antichrist do some symbolic gesture or something, and so everyone, aha, he's the Antichrist, and now that means hallelujah, we're going to get raptured. The world is about to F around and find out, and they're going to be screwed. But that's okay, because we're up in the sky with Christ. I got some bad news for you people. What's going to happen when that doesn't happen? What are you going to do then? Uh-oh. Well, by then it's too late. Now we're in a full-on technocracy that nobody ever wants, least of all me.
And don't mention the fact that the Christian Zionists have got this secret pact in their back pocket that to really fulfill the end times prophecy, all the Jews have to convert to Christianity. Good luck with that,
Good
guys.
luck.
Good luck with that one. Hesher, go ahead. What do you think? Speed run, Christ's return, FAFO. What do you think?
It is one of the cringiest worldviews I could possibly imagine. It is one. It is there is. I cannot fathom the amount of hubris one must have to believe that. You know, to try to force theological events into your time frame, especially ones that include antichrists and apocalypse and all this kind of stuff. Like, who wants this? Honestly, who wants this? And who thinks that even if it was possible, and again, the hubris, can you imagine this? But even if you think it was possible as a man or a group of men and women, whatever, in any time in history that you could affect and bring about and create biblical events. I mean, just on the face of it, you know, that to me sounds very spitting in the face of God. Like, if that's the way it's going to be, that's the way it's going to be. But I certainly do not trust the likes of Netanyahu, Ben-Gvir, all these people, you know, all our presidents since the 40s. I do not trust these people to bring about biblical events, nor do I trust their technocrat friends, nor do I trust their militaries and their military industrial contractors, especially when they're making ass loads of money doing it, stealing ass loads of money and committing genocide, ethnic cleansing, atrocity, psychological operations, theft, horror. You know what I mean? Like, you part of this machine that does this to humanity for their own good so that we can bring the Antichrist, kill some cows on something. You're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. Who wants this?
Well, all I'm going to say about that, Hesher, is good luck ever getting elected to Congress or Senate in Louisiana, most of Texas, as well as Mississippi, Alabama, Oklahoma, and the rest of the Bible Belt. You've just disqualified yourself from being the future Speaker of the House. So that's it. Yeah, you'll never replace Mike Johnson with that sort of belief structure. And here we go. This is a good, fair question here. This is from People Unite. Comment at the bottom. Wonder where the Houthi name came from. It's actually the term they use is Houthi. Okay. Piers Morgan says the Houthi, but no, not like Hootie and the Blowfish, but the Houthi. No, where does the name come from? Fair question, because a lot of people don't know. So we're going to educate you. We're going to teach you. Here we go. That's where the name comes from. This is the background and origins of Ansar Allah. The Houthi movement calls itself Ansar Allah, Defenders of God. Okay. The more popular term Houthi refers to its founding figure, a politician and a Zaidi activist, Hussein Badr al-Din al-Houthi. Okay. There he is. And this guy is a hardcore, just tough and incredible scholar and politician. This is why they named the movement after him, because he was that much of a revered figure. And you look at this picture, there he is there. That looks like a serious guy. Okay. That looks like a guy that's going to dig in, and he's not going to entertain fools gladly. And this is exactly what the Yemenis are like. The Yemenis are constantly being underestimated by the U.S., by Israel, by pretty much everybody. The Saudi Arabians thought they could make short work of them, and they ran away after 9 years with their tail between their legs, with a full U.S. complement of Air Force, satellite support, bombs, everything. And Saudi got their butts kicked, pure and simple. So yeah, that's where they come from. So that's where the term Houthi comes from. But again, that's not really an accurate term because they don't even themselves call their government that or anything like that. So, I mean, we can get into the geopolitics of Yemen later, perhaps. I mean, I don't know. We can do a teach-in on it. If this thing gets really bad, we'll have to bring the maps out, show the historical timelines, look at the British colonial legacy. That's the source of a lot of problems. There we go again. It's the way that the Europeans drew the maps after World War I in this region have sowed the seeds for just total and nonstop conflict here. Let me see if there's any other interesting comments from our readership, our viewers here. Let me see. What have we got? Yeah. Anyway, I'll see if I find anything interesting there. But yeah, some good comments here by our people. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for that. But so that's where we're at, folks. Once again, the U.S. has declared war on Yemen, and this was just over the weekend, or not really declared war. It's kind of an undeclared war. They sort of declare war. This is weird, guys. Help me work out what's going on here. They declare war on Truth Social and on X, but they don't issue an actual declaration of war. Definitely not done through Congress. Not even a letter from the president. Do you remember in the old days when the president used to go in front of the country, sort of like this, and say, "My fellow Americans, last night we launched an airstrike on a threat to U.S. interests." George Bush, whatever, whoever did it, like, do you remember? They used to just at least tell us we're gonna bomb this country, legal or not. This is what the government's doing. Now they just sneak behind and throw tweets out and like truths up on Truth Social, and then all the influencers amplify it, and that's like governing now in 2025. Is it just me, or do you find that highly strange and a little bit disturbing on a certain level, guys?
Very strange. I was in high school when Desert Storm kicked off, and I remember that moment when the president came on, cable television and all the, rabbit ear televisions, and gave a speech about it, said what we were doing and why. I mean, in hindsight, knowing what I know now, I would have scoffed and kicked and screamed a bit. But, I was a youngster. I was a young Hesher, and, brought up on military movies, war movies, Old West movies, that kind of stuff. And to me, it was like, oh my gosh, we're having a war. We're having a war in the 90s. Wow, we're declaring a war, and then you see the insane footage that came out of it, all the Apache footage and everything. That big highway of death and destruction and all that. And it's like, wow, don't F with America. That was kind of like the long and the short, well, just the short and the shorter of like how that whole thing hit my brain, and it wasn't until years later, because I was almost old enough to join the military at that point. And it wasn't until years later that, I started knowing people coming back from that and meeting people coming back from that, or that were in that. And then you start to kind of grow your perception and your understanding of it. You have more context. But yeah, everything since then, I can't think of much. Of course, there's the 9/11 stuff in Afghanistan, but even those were sort of softer launches, it feels like, than even Operation Desert Storm. And now you're right. They throw a social media post out and just let the attack dogs in the MAGA influence sphere be the news for it. And then they let the brigades of, their viewers and subscribers come through and be the power, be the the wave, the wave that it all rides until it crashes down. It's pretty amazing to see technocracy grow into, you know what I mean? Like our little technocracy's growing up here, guys. Our little technocracy's getting so big and so advanced. It can declare a war and use your own citizens to create the wave of support. You no longer need these JOs up there in DC to tell you that we're going to go to war. It's like, no, we truthed it out, we tweeted it out, and the influencers have poured the cement on it, and the influenced by the influencers come and provide the, the optics of a massive wave of support.
Yeah. The media, right? The media.
Yeah.
Yeah. The new media. You are the
There
media.
they are. All two of them.
Yeah. All the,
You already said this during your program about the meet the new boss, same as the old boss. We've been discussing that on various programs, episodes of the Sunday Wire here, where like we believe that the social media, the X, the new media really is the new media, and it's acting and doing all the same things that the old media did, except right there, as you see, technocracy. So no longer do we have to do these news reports like Hesher and I were used to seeing, like during high school and college age, right, where it's like these big news presentations, and then you have to wait a while and gauge readers' opinions based on maybe they wrote some letters to their editors, to their local paper. Now it's all happening in real time, like based on algorithms. So they can gauge the public's perception about these military movements as they're happening, and they can scale it back as needed or ramp it up as needed. And usually they're concerned about the public's perception about war only for their political party's sake in the next election. And we do have a president right now on his second term who will not be running again unless, he gets his way, because he's mentioned that quite a few times now. He says, oh, I'm going to run 3 terms. That's not going to happen. But he doesn't care what people think about him. By the time he leaves this office, he doesn't care. He's going to do all of the things. He's going to do whatever he wants. So I'm just pointing that out.
Yeah. Well, there's a story here. I mean, this is just, I'll play this because I did a special edit of this on X, and I don't know, you guys know who Daniel Davis is, right? Deep Dive podcast.
Yeah.
On YouTube. He's a pretty good guy. I've been on the show a few times. He's incredibly good as an analyst, and I like him just because he has a heart, and he still has a lot of, he hasn't lost his humanity by being in the Beltway. So he's been on the right side of all these issues, and he was basically tapped for an intelligence position, deputy DNI by Tulsi Gabbard. And my understanding was he got the position, and then it was vetoed, and there was a brigade campaign that was launched against him. Now, I did a very brief report on this at the UK column. I think it's worth playing, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. I also want to show this to our audience. We did this on Friday on the UK column news. I was with Mike Robinson in studio there, and so let's look at this report, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this, because I find this to be highly worrying, very, very concerning on a deep level. But let's go ahead and watch this. Hold on, let me see if we can bring this up. This is an incredible story. We're bringing this up on screen. So Tulsi Gabbard had already selected a deputy for the Director of National Intelligence, DNI, and his name is Daniel Davis. A lot of people might know him as Colonel Daniel Davis. He has a very successful podcast, which is on YouTube. He's also a senior fellow at Defense Priorities. This is a think tank in Washington, generally known in that kind of Douglas McGregor vein of a pretty good, straight-talking, common-sense guy. A decorated combat veteran, which is rare in Washington to find such people in politics, very experienced, and has kind of been on the right side of most issues over the years. And something happened, Mike. He was basically appointed, and all of a sudden the appointment was scuttled a couple of days later. And it turns out it was because he wasn't hawkish enough, we're told, on the issue of, guess what?
Israel.
Yes,
Gaza,
Israel.
basically.
He's not supportive of Israel,
Yes.
not hawkish enough against Iran.
Right.
So this is what we've understood. And there was a campaign run. We'll bring this up on screen here. The ADL was involved in basically smearing Daniel Davis. So the Anti-Defamation League involved in defamation. Interesting, isn't it? And then you had top Fox hosts like Mark Levin, here he's up on stage, basically doing victory laps afterwards after lobbying. So all these influencers like Laura Loomer and all these like MAGA Zionist pro-Israeli influencers all piled in and went after Daniel Davis in what is clearly a coordinated attack. So this is incredible. So they've managed to basically veto a top pick for intelligence. the Israeli lobby and all these influencers, and they put pressure on Trump and the White House and, work through social media. Unbelievable. So this is incredible. So that's not foreign interference. That's not foreign meddling in the U.S. government. Of course, that's what Russia does, right?
Right.
We're told. So anyway, I think it's important that people will bring his show up on screen here. The best thing we can do at this point is to support Daniel Davis, and go visit his YouTube channel, Daniel Davis Deep Dive. It is absolutely one of the best shows online, like Judge Napolitano. I think even better than some of these other programs, quite frankly. But it's incredible that he nearly got the job, and that would have been such a great thing. But what does it show you, Mike? Why would Israel want to keep someone like this out of a job where they're curating intelligence? And we talked about this on this program in previous weeks. And that's because there is an agenda to wage war and to do a preemptive strike on Iran. And where's the intelligence coming from for that?
Israel.
It's coming from Israel. So will Tulsi Gabbard be compelled to act on what, quote, credible threat intelligence about something Iran is supposed to do? And if not, who would be there to check that? Could be someone like Colonel Daniel Davis to offer a second opinion on that. That's basically what Tulsi probably selected him to do. And sure enough, the Israeli lobby got wind and scuppered the whole thing. So it's unbelievable. And it makes me worry that something is coming down the pipeline. There's an agenda to confront Iran militarily in Washington and in Tel Aviv. And this is a big red flag, Mike.
So 2 questions. Any suggestion about who might be put in place as an alternative? And the other is, does this say anything about Tulsi's chances for staying in the role?
Two good questions, Mike. And I will say that Eldridge Colby, who is another person who is up for a high national security post to be the president's advisor, that's been stalled. And the rumor is because he is not pro-Israel enough. Okay, that's one of them. And then the hostage envoy, Trump's hostage envoy, who is talking to Hamas, I think he's been sacked. And he's Jewish, by the way. So he wasn't, because he was being too friendly to Hamas and not giving enough deference to Netanyahu, apparently. So he's been kicked out. So who's running U.S. foreign policy?
It's pretty clear.
Is it Trump or is it somebody else? Is it Miriam Adelson? Is it the Israeli lobby? Is it Benjamin Netanyahu? So if Benjamin Netanyahu is having the final veto on U.S. foreign policy and military affairs, then who's the president of the United States? Really? All right, guys. So what do you think? Thoughts on this?
It's a
It
big
reminds me of what
opportunity.
Obama used to do. Oh, sorry, Hesher.
Oh, go ahead, man.
I was just thinking, like, didn't Obama do something similar where he was firing a bunch of 5-star generals? They were giving like some sort of litmus test. This is the same kind of thing, isn't it? It's weird that Levin was giving credit to Trump when your research proves that the ADL got heavily involved. Didn't the ADL go after Trump too back in the day?
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Went after Musk, went after Trump, went after everybody. Yeah. So it's like that's the real power behind the throne. It looks like, but it's what I guess it's that amorphous blob of psychopaths that Trump talked about in Patrick Bet-David's podcast. And he said it's an amorphous group of psychopaths. He was talking about Adam Schiff and everybody else. So, oh my gosh. Hesher, what do you think?
Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. A missed opportunity, probably one of many missed opportunities for good position posts, that could have really improved the geopolitical situation and actually work towards peace in regions. I mean, Donald Trump told us he wanted peace, but he didn't tell us he wanted peace through war or, peace through political Zionism's goals. That was not really what we were billed and sold. But that's what we're seeing. And, I think I already mentioned it, but again, my concern right now is that they're just going to destroy Yemen the same way they destroyed Gaza. It's an eyesore for their pal Netanyahu and his buddies. So it just seems to be we're at a huge risk here for seeing yet another genocide, and this has been an ongoing one. Again, this has been an ongoing one for quite a while now. Many people have died. Many non-combatants have died because of the lack of supplies, food, water, and because of direct military intervention through drones and long distance weapons. And for them to try to sell this again. I mean, again, how many times are they going to sell us a genocide on a location? How many times are we going to have that Madeleine Albright moment where, after the fact, years after the fact, someone asks them in public on, whatever, 500,000 dead children, was it worth it? And then they say, yes, absolutely it was. How? Someone show me how it was worth it. Someone show me how that made things better. Someone show me how that made less American troops go fight and die in places that literally do nothing to protect America. I mean, are we going to buy this again? Are we going to we haven't rectified any of these past experiences like this, and we just spent the last almost 2 years watching an ongoing situation, arguably several ongoing situations. One could look at what's going on in Ukraine as a form of genocide also. And really we're we're going to have a contingent of people in this country who want to see this, who will allow this, who will cheerlead this, who will brigade people that speak out against it, and call them terrorists, in their own country. People just talking into microphones and cameras, typing on social media. Are you kidding me? No, it's ridiculous. And of course they're gonna, the Israel lobby is gonna do what they do, and the American political Zionists are gonna do what they do. And let's not forget how many dual citizens we got up there on Capitol Hill. It's not just Netanyahu, it's not just Israel, it's our own politicians that have these, religious and geopolitical hang-ups, illiteracies, fallacies. I don't even know where we should go with that, but it's yeah.
Well, there's also the dual loyalty as well. I mean, we caught Chuck Schumer. I don't know if you guys caught this. This was during the Trump joint session. We zoomed in on that, and like Schumer, boom, he's donning the Ukrainian flag there. You can see on his lapel. So like that he's wearing the Ukrainian flag that day, but the day before he's wearing the Israeli one, probably. And then you've got scenes like this. Like, who is this guy? Where did he come from? How did he get control of our Congress? This little dwarf waltzes in there wearing camo, and basically like he's president of the United States. I mean, what other country does this? What other country allows foreign leaders to walk in and basically take over? Like they do it. Netanyahu, they allow him to do it. They allow Zelensky to do it. And it's just, to me, it's like a ritual act of humiliation. I don't know what a better way to describe it than that, guys. But on the bottom here, you can see Sam as I am says, you can get a significant number of humans to believe anything, no matter how stupid, especially when reinforced by brainwashing from childhood and threats of exclusion. That's in-group, out-group. That's the basis of groupthink. Very good, very good. Half the population is below 100 IQ as well. Well, that's, some people might push back against that, but some people might say that might be accurate. I don't think IQ is a good objective measure for intelligence personally. But I get the sentiment here. He's saying that, a lot of people are just dumbed down and brainwashed as a result. And I posted a graphic earlier in the week, guys, that showed the intelligence levels are falling in the West. They're falling. Okay. And I was looking at that and I'm thinking to myself, wow, so that this is something that Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, they like seeing that graph taper off. That's the source of all of their wealth, success, power, and sales, is by making us dumber. This is what AI is all about. Switching off your brains. Let the AI do it. So, I mean, I'm thinking tech bros need that graph to go down. If you think it's kind of, that is so dystopic to think about it. Like
And
their share prices will only go up if collective intelligence goes down. What do you think about that for a master's thesis, guy?
100%. And that's the sort of thing, that I've talked about this a lot. As the pendulum swings from left to right, they're all doing each other favors with, all of the most devious things that are happening, like the dumbing down of America. They're all doing each other favors. What do I mean by that? Well, here's one example. Biden did MAGA a huge favor by literally being the worst president we've ever had, by being the most cognitively dysfunctional president we've ever had, the weakest looking president we've ever had. And who capitalized on that? Well, Donald Trump did. Easy peasy. That this script writes itself pretty much. We've been appearing as weak. Well, okay, so I guess that means that anytime you want to flex the muscle for Israel, the MAGA America First crowd, let's not forget what MAGA actually means, which is staggering. The America First crowd will jump behind it and say, yes, cool. That old senile guy was weak. He made us look bad. That's why Russia invaded. That's why Hamas invaded. That's the reason. It's the optics of the president. He looks like a decrepit old man who can't ride a bicycle on pavement. He's just going to fall over. He's just going to surround himself with bald dudes in dresses who steal Louis Vuitton suitcases out of the airport. He's going to surround himself with chicks with you-know-whats, fake boobs hanging out, all out on the White House lawn. And then Donald Trump's going to come in and say, we're not going to be weak anymore, guys. Great, cool, let's not be weak. But all of a sudden, all the MAGA crowd, again, remember what it means, America First, right? Want to get behind this or any sort of, violent, poorly thought out or religiously motivated sort of, maneuvering. So, that whole thing, and same with culture wars. You could throw culture war in there too. Culture war, we allowed that to fester. We never called it out for what it was. When I say we, I mean we as Americans. We did here, that's for sure. To the point where we were bored of it by the time it became popular. And it's there now. It's just there. It hangs there, and every time this pendulum moves, we're just going to get more radicalized right to left and more dumber. So it's like that dumbing down, the culture war, the weakness. You can pretty much pick any topic and look at how the right and the left have framed it over the years. And now how easy it is for them to frame, because everyone is stupid. So many people are dum-dums. So many people are smart people that are geopolitically illiterate or even politically illiterate nationally, have no idea what's going on. So, sorry, the low IQs will continue until morale increases.
Yeah. Well, I found an oldie but goodie from our library of archive clips here. This is a vintage Biden. As you brought it up, Hesher, I thought we'd share this. A walk down memory lane. Some of you might have remembered this or not. This is peak, or say peak low IQ for America. This was Joe Biden at his absolute best. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy.
We're likely to lose another 250,000 people dead between now and January. You hear me? Because people aren't paying attention.
You hear me? 250,000 Americans dead. You hear me?
Well, there was that was the classic Biden. Those are the good old days. Just
Your theory
browbeating.
there
Just before
about
the winter
Biden,
of death and destruction, right?
right?
Yeah, exactly. And the 8 trillion on the balance sheet of the Fed causing hyperinflation. Oh, we don't like to talk about that. Oh, because Trump started that one. That was the biggest wave of quantitative easing ever in history. So that's kind of like why we have that's why a tuna sandwich is $20. It's because of that. Oh, Trump did that. Oh, sorry. We had the greatest economy the world has ever seen. That's what they said on the campaign trail. Yeah, but that little bit at the end, Donald, that was kind of important. Own that. Of course, we can blame Biden for plenty. Kind of like, let's just get honest and realistic, because otherwise we shall repeat the same mistakes of the past. So that's our big fear, of course. So, but anyway, let me just take a look here. See, there's all sorts of interesting comments here. We'll try to feature a couple. What's this crackhead country dude? There's a lot of random flotsam and jetsam in the comment sections here. We're looking for jewels and nuggets and pieces of valuable little stones of wisdom, pearls of wisdom. Destroy the Constitution and you destroy the public like a true Caesar, as Rupert Fellows. I can get behind that sentiment, guys. What about you?
Trump likes to look at himself as a Roman emperor of sorts. Have you seen the way he decorates his abode? If I'm not mistaken, all these gold like Roman statues and symbology and stuff. It's been a while since I took a peek. I don't know which one of his homes that has, not Mar-a-Lago, I don't think. But Hesher, your theory there about like as bad as Biden was helped make Trump look better. In fact, like more so than if Trump had just successfully, won his second term. This was much, much better for him because, anybody coming after that shit stamp was going to look like caviar. It's the same way the AI works, which is what you were saying, Patrick, and I've been discussing this on my own program, and I think I bring it up on Boiler Room every once in a while, is the fact that the AI is really not that smart. It's not getting smarter. We're getting dumber, which just simply makes the AI look smarter. And that's, cha-ching, big bucks, the big bros and the tech optimists absolutely love that. I'm having trouble speaking today. Sorry.
No, the first step for stopping this hemorrhaging of IQ collectively and getting on the road to being more intelligent is to acknowledge the fact that we are idiots, okay? That our society has collectively turned us or tried to turn us into complete, bumbling, useless idiots. And when we come to that realization, we can then rebuild back towards, I think, a better place. So like admitting the scale of the problem is the first step to, get progress, making it back to some position where people are getting smarter. But the more we get reliant on technology and convenience, really the dumber we're going to be. Just the fact that kids or adults, I don't know how many taxis you guys have been in. Have you ever been in a taxi these days when the GPS goes off or the map's not working? They literally pull over to the side and like just sit there in a catatonic fit or whatever. Like they can't read a map. It's just like, or God forbid, stop and ask someone for directions. But even that's hopeless. I stopped and asked people for directions. People can't give directions anymore. I'm not kidding. So like, where are we? And I know it's well, you don't need maps. We've got GPS, you got the satellites. Elon's taking care of that. You don't need the maps. The fuck's wrong with you guys? You're so old fashioned. So we do need the maps though, because that's like, we can visualize. We used to be able to memorize 8 exits. You look at the map, okay, that's gonna be the first exit, then that town's coming, then that town, and that street. You memorize all that, and you literally, as it's unfolding, so you just look at the map, you take a snapshot, and boom, and it all works. And you get there in the end. Maybe you have to stop and ask for directions, but that's kind of part of the fun. Used to be part of the fun, not anymore. This is a less human interaction. So I think intelligence drops. The less you have human interaction, intelligence drops. That's my working theory.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't even remember how many hundreds of times driving in a 1970s car into San Francisco from the foothills of California or from further northern California, and having to find my way to some dingy club in Oakland or in Richmond or in downtown San Francisco or in Berkeley. All these different spots where we used to go see Primus and Slayer and Obituary and all these great bands. Every single one of those trips was exactly like you just described. And if you're lucky and it's a fun trip like that, you've got a whole van full of friends with you. We used to cruise down to death metal shows in this thing we called the Tan Man van. It was my buddy Matt Man's parents' van, and we could fit like 12 metalheads and the two girlfriends that 12 metalheads could bring in the 90s. It would be people sitting on 18 packs of beer, and somebody with a map. And the driver would have it, in their head. This would all be planned out ahead. It would be part of the fun, and it was part of the fun. And sometimes, yeah, you'd pull over, but you weren't pulling over to wait for Starlink to cruise over. You're pulling over to grab that folded up map from the dash, from the glove box, because you stopped and bought it at a gas station on your last show when you went and saw Deicide or something. It's like, cool, pull that beer stained map out. And two of us will figure out why we're lost while the rest of you open that next 12 pack of beer. You know what I mean? It's not like that anymore. Now it's like, oh, well, we can leave it, let me map the route out here. Oh, we can leave it 6:22 and still have time to stop at Starbucks and get to the show 10 minutes before it starts. And it's like, that's a great luxury. It's nice being sort of an, elder metalhead to have those sort of options. But at the same time, I still know how to pull over, grab that map and get to my concert or my bug out location, in the case that those digital maps aren't available.
We didn't have Starbucks when I was going to gigs, but
True that, man. We were stopping at Denny's for coffee.
Yeah, those were the days, huh? So yeah, that's just indicative of like where we're at, basically. So it's hard to have that discussion with, some younger people. They just don't really have a concept of it, so that makes you feel a little bit old, a little bit like almost like a Luddite, like a sort of loose wheel. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, superfluous to requirement, but actually no, it's there's some benefit to this of using your brain. Your brain's like a muscle. You don't use it, you get dumber. It's quite simple. And we just using it less and less. I'm so not impressed with the amount of things people are saying we need AI for. A lot of these tasks you can do faster or just about the same amount of time yourself. So if you're not doing, they say, well, but then it's freeing up time to do other things. But a lot of people use AI agents and they put the wrong input in and it ends up getting the wrong result, and then they have to go back and fix it. They say, oh yeah, but that's part of the process. It's part of the process, and it's going to take time to work all the stuff out. So like, what are you really doing? At some point, I think the system is going to basically, half of it's going to fold in on itself, because it's going to be like people are going to be botting fake engagement and fake ads with AI, and then that's going to be feeding itself, and the whole thing just turns into a giant Ponzi scheme of AI generated economic activity and getting paid, like in digital currency for non-existent traffic done by bots run by AI agents. Whatever. What do they call it? There's a new content creator category where you're not involved like personally in the content. It's like,
Yeah.
AI channels or anonymous channels without humans in them and using all AI generated voice. And you see these videos on YouTube with Jordan Peterson's voice on it, but somebody else's script, and all these other, there's this Morgan Freeman variant voice. I think there's another one. And what's the other one? The actor Timothy Hopkins, I think. And then there's another one with Denzel Washington. His voice has been cloned a lot on Instagram, and it looks like you're watching a Denzel Washington video, giving you the steps of life. Pay attention. I'm going to mentor you for a minute and a half. Here's what you need to do to be a stoic male, kind of thing. It's not Denzel Washington. It's just like it's AI generated. Everything's AI generated. The account is run
including
by an
the
AI
script.
agent. And the script. Yes.
Absolutely. There are social media accounts out there that will teach you, well, business tip for you, will teach you how to set one of those up, and you can literally just type into whichever, AI flavor of your choice. And if you're paying for it for a monthly fee, you're probably going to get a better output than other people. So most of these people pay, between $20 and $200 a month for some of these things, but it'll write your script. All you got to do is just tell it, hey, write me an engaging script with a good hook about, fill in the blank. And there you go. And then it's like, okay, write me a voiceover to go with that script in Christopher Walken tone. That would be who I would choose if I was going to do it. I would screw all those other guys. I would use Christopher Walken. I don't want the buttery smooth Denzel. I want Christopher Walken. Something like that. But anyway, you can do that. And then if you're good with the tools, and maybe you're got a high end one, you can have it actually generate the video to go with it. You can have it generate an info babe, a baby, Moodang, the mini hippo. It could be, whatever. You could do 15 channels like that. Arguably financially might be wasting my time right now hanging out with you schleps, because I could be sitting here making $50,000 a month on fake videos, computer generated videos.
Yeah. A David Icke's voice is being cloned as well. That's being used. I mean, is this ZP Zap is one of our intelligent commenters here. He's saying, I recommend not using AI, not even acknowledging it, but I am hardcore hardliner and a very late adopter to tech. Right. So a lot of people can relate to that. I know people in that boat, actually, late adopters. I mean, it's not that I struggle with tech, but there's some techs that I just purposely didn't use because I didn't want to get into it, even though it was available to me for the longest time. It took me so long to get a smartphone. I had that Nokia Banana. I was in that Matrix mindset for so long, and I finally caved and got a smartphone in like 2011 or something like that. Before that, I was hanging on with the laptop, trying to stay off because I didn't want to have that appendage. I didn't want to have a surrogate. I didn't want it to be like an extension of my body. So I was like, I'm going to use the Banana forever. And I had the little Nokia forever, the double SIM card from Somalia, like a African mobile. It was great. But I had to get a smartphone at some point because I was taking video, and I started doing more journalism and reporting, and then it became almost like a necessity. But it's not really a necessity. You can still survive without all these things. You don't need them. But one day there's going to be no smartphones, folks. And there's going to be, things are going to move on to something else. So what are you going to do at that point? You're going to be like socially retarded at that point. It's going to be like,
with a brain chip in your head implanted by a robot.
What do I do now? So yeah, I don't want to get in trouble for being ableist. I'm not doing an imitation of Donald Trump at a rally. I swear. It's not me. But thank you, ZP Zap, for that. And again, we're making fun of the technology, not people, folks. We're just pastiching ourselves and the world. And so crypto, Putin's shirt says, Doge is a money laundering machine. Elon will benefit bigly. That's another thing. He hasn't been pumping the Dogecoin, not overtly, but he's managed to get the dog into the Doge Department of Government Efficiency. Very, very slick. So I think he's probably made some money off of the Dogecoin, just like Javier Milei made some money off the Libra before pulling the rug. So yeah, that's another thing, the rug pull. I think this is probably how Elon's going to fund his Mars mission, you guys, by launching a Mars coin, and he can get all the crypto influencers to pump it. Imagine the Mars coin. We need to raise the money because Trump's not going to be able to, free up the money because of Doge. We just don't have the funds to go to Mars. So let's do a mem coin and get everybody involved, get all the media assets of Elon involved, right? And just pump this thing, pump this mem coin up to go to Mars. And we'll be absolutely hilarious, guys, is if they did that and they got the market cap up to like 500 billion, or no, maybe 750 billion. almost $1 trillion, right? And all these guys were just looking at their Coinbase accounts, racking up the money, and just thinking, wow, like billionaires are being created by the second. And then all of these grifters pull the rug on the Mars coin, and it plummets down to nothing. They all make out like bandits. And what an Aesop's fable that would be. That there's going to be no the Mars missions canceled because they pulled the rug on them on the Mars coin, and everyone cashed in and bought yachts instead. I mean, is that a fitting end to this epic tale?
I get confused when I try to like contextualize the richest person on the planet, or we were talking about this on Boiler Room actually on Thursday. Ruckus found this great video that was a visualizer for the national debt. So you start, it's like an animated thing. It's on this Thursday's Boiler Room, which is on our Rumble channel and our YouTube channel. But it starts with a pile like $10,000 or something like that, and it's got something in the background for reference, and it just pulls back and back and back until you get to millions and billions, and you get to see like how many pallets make up $1 billion. Then it's like you're looking at a dozen football fields stacked with pallets, and then you back up to the national debt, $32 trillion, and it's just pallets like tower, like a dozen pallets towering above the Statue of Liberty. And for Elon to be so rich, for me, it's difficult to fathom what's the benefit to doing weird little meme coins and all that. Does this guy need to make money? Like how, what could you do with that? Or it just like I can't wrap my head around a rich, bazillionaire like Elon Musk or Donald Trump trying to, make extra coin on memes and, whatnot. But at the same time, what you just said is like, I have kind of gotten into the minds of some wealthy people, and they do things like that where it's like, well, I'm going to do this with this so that I can make this or have this or purchase this. And, arguably that's kind of how Elon ended up owning Twitter, which, was, arguably not a good financial decision until everybody saw how it was going to be wielded. And now it's like, oh, you bought the White House and the media. you're in both. You bought the right wing. Holy crap, Elon, you bought the right wing. You bought MAGA. Wow. Neat. How'd you do that? You know what I mean? So it's like, that's just me. I'm used to having a thin bank account and dealing with smaller numbers, but it's hard. I think it's hard for a lot of them. I'm probably speaking for a number of people here. It's very hard for, a sandwich eater, $20 tuna sandwich eater to wrap their brain around what, the richest man in the world might be doing.
A $20 tuna sandwich eater. That's like a new sort of a new profile for people. Like, see,
a new surf.
Look, there goes another $20 tuna sandwich eater. This is based here. This comment, brutally remastered. I've ditched my mobile plan. I don't make any calls. That is so based,
right?
I like
Who wants
that.
Email? Who wants phone calls? At this point, like we've got so much crap coming at us. I can't even keep up with my friends and family because I've got 47,000 unread emails. I've got 88 unheard voicemail messages. I don't even check my snail mail anymore unless I'm expecting a part for my pistol or something. Like who wants all this stuff at this point? It's too much, but at the same time, that is brutally remastered. Your comment fits your name really well today because, for the majority of us, it's like, I can't get a message from Patrick Henningsen unless I have all of these unread notices and all of these other inbound vectors for stuff. Don't even get me started about my Telegram account. My Telegram account currently has, let's see, 72,894 unread messages in however many groups I'm in. Okay. So it's just like, I have more than I can humanly process at any given moment just by opening X, mind you, much less all of these stupid red bubbles on my phone. My email had like like 70,000, it was an equivalent amount. I just cleaned it out recently, and it was thousands. It was tens of thousands of email, given a lot of it's junk and crap, but there's important stuff in there. So at this point, it's like, I don't blame someone like Brutally for just being like, no, I'm not even taking the calls anymore.
Yeah, I don't take calls either. It's my least favorite thing to do. We have changed our communication patterns. Here's the best comment of the day, though. Well, that one's pretty good. Get your free government lobotomy. I like that. Ghost in the machine. But this is Holly Hollingsworth, one of our longtime, listeners and commenters. I've always been socially retarded. I love the brutal honesty there. Brutally honest, not just brutally remastered, but brutally honest. Holly, thank you for showing some levity and taking the air out of our collective overinflated intellectual tires here on the Sunday Wire, because things are just getting so wacky. I think we're all just I think there's just been a massive downgrade socially, and I think people like Elon are responsible for it. I'm going to put the blame where the blame is due. Donald Trump is also responsible for it, and hopefully there'll be a backlash, and this will sort of lead to something better in the future. I guess we got to see how low we can go, folks, before we can make it back onto some sort of path. I mean, Elon's promising that he's going to have a manned mission to Mars by 2029. 2029, maybe 2030, maybe 2029 if we move really quickly. I mean, who buys that? Honestly, like, take us to the moon. Put a man on the moon. Let's go.
And good luck getting me to buy that too after all your shenanigans. You know what I mean? It's like the footage I saw recently of this moon trip, and the footage I saw the other day of Crew 10 hooking up with ISS. Like, I'm sorry, that stuff is all so sketchy. It is so sketchy. Like, Grok could make that video in 10 seconds.
Yeah, right. Oh my God, Grok's making videos. Grok's makes some pretty sick images, though. I've used it on occasion. I can't even release some of the stuff I've done, like the Elon Musk memes that I've created on Grok that are just him and Netanyahu and Trump.
Patrick, did you know that Grok 3 now has a not safe for work mode? We just heard about this the other day.
Really?
So if you want to, you can have like a nice little sexy chat with your Grok now. So I can only imagine the pictures it's going to put out. Wow.
Oh, really? It's okay. So that's where it's headed. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Shocked? Surprised? No.
That's what Elon's going to end up being, guys.
He went on Joe Rogan to say that too. So it's like he advertised that to probably, the first or third biggest audience in all of podcasting. So it's like, he didn't just slip it in there and let anybody find it. It's like slipped it in there and then went and advertised the crap out of it. So you know that the not safe for work Grok mode is probably being used in workplaces all over the country, all over the world now.
Yep. We are drowning in garbage at this point, says the Ghost Machine. And Kurt Boss with the Heath Ledger Joker PFP there. Tesla lose 80% of global sales. LOL. Just, I like this one. This is Sam As I Am says, I worked in the homes of billionaires doing $1 million home theater installs. Okay. Yeah, that's the way to roll.
Nice.
Right? That's the way. That's called wealth distribution right there. You're making money off the rich guys. So good on you for that. Oh, and this one's pretty good. Rupert Fellows. Tommy Robinson eats a lot of tuna. He has the tin sent to him in prison. That's so cruel. Rupert Fellows. Brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Love it.
Brutally frank. So we've got brutally honest, brutally frank, and brutally remastered. And Putin shirt. Thanks all you guys for your great wisdom there. And I'm just learning how to multitask some of these features, just because I was so busy with delivering information that, working the comments and stuff like that. It's always at the very end of my list of things. But I vow to do more of that going forward. At least on some shows, we're going to be featuring your your amazing pearls of wisdom there in the comment threads. Thank you guys for your participation. We really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, final thoughts before we break up this conclave, this unholy conclave here on the Sunday Wire.
Unholy conclave of socially retarded people.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. That's us. That's us. We are like, yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed the commentary, and big shout out to everybody on Rumble. We got some great comments coming in over there. Some great comments coming in natively at the 21stcenturywire.com site as well. We got little Carle and El Cid in there, and a bunch of our other friends. I think Holly's up in there. Great to see everybody. We got Bad Andy, Jokers for You, Pamela Drew, Musical Help. So many people over there on Rumble as well. And then we got a bunch of friends in the Boiler Room Discord that always tune in. So a big shout out to all the regulars over there. The memes have been flying. The comments have been flying. The brutal social retardation shall persist here at Alternate Current Radio. And we're really glad you guys are all here with us. So, and we'll keep it going. Join us for Boiler Room Thursday nights. If you missed any, go to our Rumble or go to our website, alternatecurrentradio.com. Please support everybody on this call and everybody that you find value with if you're able to. And if you're not, well, you can share the stuff like mad. Share it like the social retard that you are. Double share it, triple share it. We really appreciate that. And thanks, Pat, for having me, and look forward to the next one.
Thank you very much. Bryan McClain Hesher, host of the Boiler Room as well on the Alternate Current Radio Network. When's your next broadcast, Bryan?
Well, there might be a special emergency broadcast tonight, actually, because Mark Anderson, the Truth Hound, and Spore and I were talking yesterday, and we've noticed an alarming set of, I don't know, what we think could potentially be predictive programming revelation of the method here in Texas. So this will be sort of specific to Texas, but it will reference a lot of wildfire sort of events that we've seen in California, in Lahaina, and others. We're getting inundated right now with red flag warnings about wildfires here in Texas, as though we have like huge forests that are unkempt or something, or, you know, like the Dallas Metroplex could burn down. What do you mean? It's all cement. So there's some strange things going on, and we want to get out ahead of it and get our opinions in on that. We're going to talk about weather modification and wildfires and climate change and all that good stuff. So there's a chance we'll be on air tonight around 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, 7 Pacific. And then, of course, we'll have our weekly show this coming Thursday, sometime around 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, if you can supply us with an update, Boiler Room, also with your show times on it, we can flash that up in future. And the same with the Daily Ruckus, although I love this graphic. But yeah, if you guys if you have any updated looks or graphics for us that we can put on our rotation with your show times on there as well, that would be great. Ruckus, when is the next installment of your podcasting masterpiece?
Hopefully tomorrow, but I don't know. Now there's a Boiler Room tonight. I might have to miss Boiler Room tonight, Hesher, so I can finish the Daily Ruckus. If I don't get it out tomorrow, it will definitely be out for Tuesday. The only reason I won't have it available tomorrow is because on Mondays, I do a little side thing with Sam Chaney over at Weaponized News, and I help him co-host his nightly program. He does it Monday through Friday, but I just join him every Monday now. But yes, I do have a brand new one. I can actually, I'll give you a little sneak peek with the graphic there. I'm doing a 3-part series. The entire series is called 12 Bummers Coming. It's actually a series within another series, because I was doing a series themed around the 12 days of Christmas called the 12 Days of Ruckus. And this is part of the day 12. Instead of 12 drummers drumming. It's 12 bummers coming, but I had to break it up into 3 parts. So the first part will cover 5 of the bummers as seen in this graphic so that you can get an idea. It's all technocracy stuff, ladies and gentlemen, boys and squirrels, and it's exciting. It's going to cross-reference a lot of things that we were discussing here on the Sunday Wire, along with a lot of the things we talk about on Boiler Room. And speaking of Boiler Room, you will also find me over there, of course, with Hesher and Spore and all the other fine folks. Infidel Pharaoh, we were just hanging out with Randy J this week. So if you missed it, make sure you check that out. That was exciting. And yeah, so lots of stuff going on. But yeah, I'll have my 3-parter coming out real soon. So it'll either be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or it'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday kind of thing. But it will be out this week, I promise. I have portions of it already pre-recorded just to make sure that the important stuff didn't get messed up, because I was having trouble. I'm not going to lie, a lot of tech issues, but we got that squared away now. So thanks for having me on the Sunday Wire. This has been a blast as usual.
Daily Ruckus looking good. And Hesher, did you ever get to see Dune 2, the sequel?
I did. I saw it twice, actually.
What did you think?
I thought it was pretty good. I'm a Frank Herbert reader, enjoyer. So that book series I really devoured and enjoyed in my teenage years, and even enjoyed David Lynch's make of it. But I thought that the new series is done really well. I know some people kind of thought it was boring or whatnot, but as a Frank Herbert enjoyer, book enjoyer, for me it was I liked it. It was a thumbs up, and I felt like it's timely. I feel like the story is timely because it's got a little bit of everything in it. You know what I mean? It has and imperialism is pretty much the main topic. Imperialism, degenerate leaders, what it takes to overthrow a degenerate leader, and how not to become one are all kind of wrapped up in there, So I loved it. I thought it was great.
There's a bit of the Houthis in there as well.
Yeah, I was when I watched. Absolutely. It's got a little bit of a Middle Eastern vibe to it, and it's again perfect timing for that. And I think it really brought the aesthetic that Frank Herbert would give to our minds as readers. I thought it brought it a pretty good visual, and I thought Chalamet was a pretty good Paul, and most of the casting was pretty good. Some weird stuff here and there if you want to nitpick, but overall I enjoyed it.
Yeah, the sound design on that, the Dolby, and it's like another level. That's the thing that really struck me about those films, is how the audio and sound design is done is like on another level. I've never felt that in a film, that level of penetrating, but not too disturbing, but very penetrating sound effects and score.
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
And the scale, I thought that the scale of the visuals, the CGI when it comes to the vessels and the ships and the worms and everything, like it doesn't feel like you're being spoon fed or beer bonged into your third eye like a Marvel movie or something. Like it has a tactile sort of feel to it, like you could almost imagine touching one of these items, whereas you can't if you're watching Thor or something like that. So I thought that was really well done, and just the monolithosity, if I may make up a word to describe like a lot of the vessels and the fortresses and stuff, some of those full planet views. I mean, really, really well done. It felt very like awe-inspiring, just the size of some of these things and how like video realistic they looked.
Yeah, I would like to see that that type of production for Battlestar Galactica or something.
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
A cinematic series for that, like a 3-part or something. That would be cool. Just on the side, I don't want to nerd out on sci-fi films too much, but I did see there's a good film, surprisingly, with Robert Pattinson called Mickey 17, and it's based on a type of not an insect, but it's called a tardigrade. And I don't know if you saw that science story where tardigrades can survive space travel, and they
can go to Mars.
Yeah, they go to Mars. So these are basically it's the U.S. or Earth or whatever trying to colonize a planet with a giant tardigrades on it, thinking that they can wipe them out. And it is, and the tech and all the advanced transhumanist stuff in there is pretty incredible. So it's actually a very good film. It's not super high budget, but it's got some very interesting concepts, and Robert Pattinson is actually a pretty good actor despite all his teen throb years. You know, he's actually matured into kind of a credible character actor. So he was good in that. And the other one is Lost Lands. I don't know if you've heard about this film, Lost Lands, with Batista's in it. It's very surreal. But it's also a pretty incredible, more steampunk, retro sci-fi kind of thing. But it's visually really quite striking. So again, with that CGI, but with the texture and the environment, the graininess of it, it almost in a strange way, it almost kind of works, basically.
Interesting. Well, now I'm going to completely destroy what you just said about not nerding out too much, but it's your fault. I'll be brief. There's a Star Trek series called, I think it's Discovery, Star Trek Discovery, and they power their ship, right? Their version of Enterprise, which is, you know, a version of Discovery, I think. This might be in a couple of, we've got a couple Trekkies in the chat that can correct me if I screw this up, but there is a modern iteration of Star Trek, and the ship actually functions on a tardigrade. They actually, the engine, right? Is a creature, and it uses like spores. So shout out to Spore, but they have like a spore drive and this tardigrade creature that actually gives them their faster than light capability. So that's interesting that this is starting to come up more and more in sci-fi now.
Oh yeah. There's I find that to be fascinating as well when you're talking about the biologicals, microscopic organisms, and existing on other planetary environments. And what's funny about Mickey 17 is that they're calling them the aliens, like they're native to that planet. They still we need to fight these aliens, you know, like no, they're not the aliens, they're the natives. So it had a real political, like the remake of Battlestar Galactica did, you know, in the early 2000s. There was a lot of politics and religion woven into the storylines, which made it really kind of very interesting. So this film, Mickey 17's got some of those tech and political issues woven in nicely into the story, which makes it even more interesting. So yeah, but yeah, maybe we'll have to do a special sci-fi review of the top sci-fi films the last couple of years. Maybe
there you go. That's a great idea.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Yeah, so that's it, folks. That's what one of the things we do when we're not crunching geopolitics on the side. I am partial because I am from the Star Wars generation. So
that's right. We know how to nerd out over here in the background. And Patrick Spore just sent me some breaking news here that relates to what we're going to be talking about tonight. We were hoping to get out ahead of things like this, but here you go. Crews battling 8,640 acre crabapple wildfire near Fredericksburg, right here in Texas. So here we go. We'll talk about this tonight with Mark Anderson.
Okay, so tune in to alternatecurrentradio.com. Follow Hesher, Bryan McClain, Hesher Media. You see it if you're watching on X. You'll see the at Hesher Media. That's in the title of this program, and at AC_wordslinger Ruckus. We're going to convince Ruckus to try to change his ID to Ruckus itself, so it's easier to find you on social media.
I tried.
We'll work on. Freddie did it. Freddie's got a new handle. It's brilliant. Freddie_Ponton used to have LFC News Media. We can that same account, new combo name, and it's worked out really well. So I do. Hopefully we'll nudge Ruckus a little bit. So he's like find a way to.
I wouldn't mind AC_Ruckus. I'm not gonna lie.
AC_Ruckus. I think it's available. Cool. Yeah,
I'll look into it, people.
Yeah. So we'll or brutally Ruckus. How about
there you go.
Brutally Ruckus. Everything's brutally. So yeah, thanks guys. I appreciate it. It's been very good chat, and thank you everybody in the chat rooms, various chat rooms, for tuning in. Really appreciate your guys' support as well. We've had a few donations during the winter fundraising drive, and that's been absolutely amazing. Really appreciate your support, the donations. Plus, we've had a couple of subscriptions to 21wired.tv, which has been great. And you'll also notice that we're launching new programming. The midweek wire is going well. There's our winter fundraising drive. Just go to my X profile, hit donate and support. You can find out ways to get involved there. Credit card, PayPal, crypto, subscribe, become a member at 21wired.tv. We'll try to do more show and tell on 21wired.tv in the coming weeks. But yeah, any support you can give us, folks, we absolutely need it. We are being absolutely hammered on the censorship and the algorithms for some reason. This has never stopped, quite frankly. We've got a little bit of breathing space on some of these platforms like Rumble and X, but even Elon's pushing us down quite heavily on the algorithm in terms of visibility. We have very good engagement on these platforms, but not great visibility for some reason. I think that's what the CEO, Linda Yaccarino, said: freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. If we don't like your speech, we won't give you freedom of reach. So that's what they said. I didn't make it up. It's not me, that's them. But yeah, and again, big important story with Trump bombing Yemen, along with Britain and Israel. What's that going to lead to? We don't know. And also, we did a space last night, actually, on Yemen. You can see that on our X feed. That was a great space. We had Ryan Dawson, Simon Dixon, as well as other great speakers, Suppress News. We had a great lineup. And we broke down a lot of the key issues there as well. So you can find that on my X feed. Just scroll down. You'll see that space from Saturday night. That was a really good program. So again, just another thing we're doing, another extra bit of programming on X Spaces. You can catch us there. We're usually doing Friday or Saturday, doing a space. Sometimes a few other opportunities to do that, especially when there's breaking news. You can always keep an eye on us. We'll put a good team together and get you the facts that you need to find out what's actually going on. So anyway, that's all we got time for, folks. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody there. Thank you for your listenership, for your viewership. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. This has been the Sunday Wire, a great omnibus episode here, and great contributions from our friends and colleagues at ACR, Hesher and Ruckus. Listen, guys, take care. We'll see you soon. All the best.
Brothers and sisters, we're being divided. Don't believe what they say. Hold on to your soul. Everyone divided in an echo chamber hole, saying that the enemy doesn't have a soul.
eyes contact. They watch our every move. They examine our togetherness like we've got something to prove. I've looked behind your eyes. I've seen the sadness you hide. I've looked into your eyes. I've seen the tears that you've cried. No, I won't get used to these chains. No, I won't get used to these chains. In the legal arena, upset theaters are staged. She moves in circles. Her cruel games cause delays. From the questions you ask me, like why can't you come home tonight? From the moment you hold me, it's the shortest hour of my life. No, I won't get used to these chains. I wanna tell you what I'm feeling. I wanna tell you what I know. Someday the truth will know. I wanna tell you what I'm feeling. I wanna tell you what I know. Someday the truth will flow. Restricted freedoms. They say I've got to be careful with what I say. Their conspiracy of silence. They think the truth will lead you astray. They say that they're here for you, but they never listen to what you say. They've built walls between us. I will walk through walls to break these chains. No, I won't get used to these chains. No, I won't get used to these chains.